Where shall we go today? Where shall we go? Where do you want to go today? Let's visit Port Sunlight. Even in 1913, there was no sexism in Port Sunlight. They had a girls' club. I don't know if they had a boys' club going on, but they had a girls' club. And very spectacular it is too. Look at the architecture. Amazing. It even has a massive long, I don't know what you call it, a park running right through the middle of it with a nice fountain, which is actually there. No, it's not. It is there, isn't it? Yeah, there you go. Nice fountain. All this was one man's perfect village for his workers, where they would be able to enjoy the countryside while still working in the factory, which is only a mile or so that way. Many workers died in the First World War and the Second World War as well. And this magnificent monument was put up in their honour. It is one of the most stunning memorials I think I've ever seen. It is amazing. It just shows the tribute to the fallen. It is difficult to believe that all this peace and tranquility is less than 100 miles from the centre of Liverpool. Behind me we've got the spectacular Hume Hall, and if I spin round we've got the bowling greens as well. And these places are absolutely perfect for catching Pokemon on Pokemon Go. Wherever you look, the architecture is very Victorian. For example, we've got chimney breasts there on the outside of a house, at the front of another house, which I'd find slightly annoying, to be fair. But if my boss had built it for me, I wouldn't say anything. This pub behind me, the Bridge, was built for the people of Port Sunlight to have fun and excitement over the weekends, to wind down after a whole week at work. It was never open Mondays to Friday. They only opened it on Saturdays and on a Sunday morning. Because who wants people working for you who's hungover? There were some people who were quite rich in Port Sunlight, and they had servants. There's only one place to keep your servants, and that's in the cellar. Mr. Uni also built this church as well, which is massive for the village, but every single person who worked here had to come on a Sunday after they'd been to pub. The churchyard is full of former employees at the Port Sunlight factory, although none are available for comment on what the conditions were like back in those days. There is a reason why all the roads are so wide here, and that is because he had the money to make them this wide. Mr. Uni, he wanted his staff to be educated, and he wanted the children of his staff to be educated as well. So he built them this rather splendid and massive primary school. Although with a name like Uni, you think it'd be university, wouldn't you? Like many Victorians, Mr. Uni invented things, including this tree, which, difficult to believe, is actually made out of metal with flowers hanging from it. Never really caught on, even though cars hadn't been invented. We had wide roads, but what else could you have? Well, Mr. Uni, he'd been all the way over to Chester, and he'd seen this newfangled thing called a roundabout, and he thought, you know what, I want a roundabout. So he built one, and there you go. It's a roundabout, literally in the middle of nowhere. It's the sad roundabout of Port Sunlight. Having made a trip to Buxton, Mr. Uni, he wanted something to remind him of Buxton, so he had this built, which is a crescent with a footpath walking underneath it, so the Victorians wouldn't get wet when they were visiting people's houses. When walking down residential streets of very nice houses, one of the last things you expect to find is a van full of bins. No, it's not that. But one of the last things you expect to find is a massive art gallery. But there it is. Now, it's customary to have a statue on top of a plinth in everywhere. And Port Sunlight is no exception. They have a tribute to someone whom could balance seagulls on their head. There's actually a seagull on top of the head of that person. One thing that could never be predicted was the fact that they built an airport nearby. You want to live in a town that was built by a Victorian who knew what he was doing. For example, houses with a turret as the front door. Houses that look like council houses, and houses look like they were built 300 or 400 years ago, like those ones there. You could do a lot worse than move to Port Sunlight. And to be honest, I don't think you could do a lot better. So till next time, bye. Where shall we go today? Where shall we go? Where do you want to go today? Let's visit